Welcome everybody to lesson 2 of Android Java Programming Fundamentals. I'm Doug Medhin, you can call me Doug, and today we're going to be making our first app. You'll notice that everything that we had in our previous lesson, from the image viewer, etc., I basically deleted them all, because we're going to make our random number generator. Now we will put in a button, a couple of texts, constraints, etc., etc. Now, we can hard code it if we want. What I mean by that is, we can go into code, and we can literally type out, TextView, and then go from there. But you know what? I'll actually, for time purposes, I'll just put them in. So we'll grab text. We'll grab this text. Plug it in. We'll grab another text, plug it in, and we'll grab a button, and we'll plug it in. Now let's mess with some constraints. And we will move that to the left, move that up, move this, just about there, and then move this down, so that way it's nice and centered. We'll do the same thing with this text view. Let's move this here, and then we'll just move this right here. We can do the same. We can actually, let's do that actually. Let's move this. Let's do that, and then let's move this down. Actually, I'll undo that. I don't like that. And for here, let's move this centered. Now it's important that we give these IDs, but first let's have a little fun with these text views, with this text view and this button. So in the code, we will scroll down. Instead of this text view, we'll just leave this blank. Wait, Doug, how do we know which text view is which? Remember, it goes by an order. We have 1, 2, and 3. So if we plug that logic into the code, this is our top text view, where it just says text view. This will be where our number will randomly generate, and this is our button. That said, let's go to design. No, not design. Well, I mean, we could see what these errors are if we clicked on the warning. Hard coding test attributed. Yeah, it happens. We'll fix that later. We'll literally click on fix. As far as this, it's saying the missing constraints for the second text viewer. So let's close out. And let's just, it's complaining about these two, so I'll just move this up. And same goes with this. Technically speaking, we don't necessarily need to have these constraints. It's saying it's an error, but it's really not. It's just, it's kind of like a warning. That said, I'm just going to move this back up to here. Nope. Yeah. And we'll fix these two. This is a warning. We'll fix it later. So let's go back into the code. Now for the top text view, I'm going to just type in random number generator. And now let's have a little fun. I'm just going to call it Android :: text size, and in parentheses, in double quotes, I'm just going to type in 24 SP. What's SP? If I remember correctly, it's standard independent pixels. So essentially, we're just making this bigger. And you know what? Let's make it bold. So I'm just going to type in Android text style. Hit enter. I'm going to type in bold. Now, as far as the button is concerned, instead of calling this button, I'll just call this, for the button, I'll just say click to generate random number. And let's make the text Android text size. I'll say 15 SP. Wait, Doug, one quick question. how will it differentiate between this text size and this text size? Okay, that's actually a good question. See, the thing is, while it's within these brackets, these sizes and styles will be catered towards this specific text view. Same goes with this specific button. So it'll basically differentiate because it's while we're setting up the properties in the brackets, it's basically the program's basically saying, okay, this text view has to have these properties, and then once this closing greater than symbol basically says, okay, I'm done setting up this this text view. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. If that makes any sense. Excuse me. So if we go back into our design, just click on the warnings. Yeah, I'll just click on fix. It'll be fine. Now, as far as it just doesn't like the hard-coded text. That's fine. Just fix. It'll be fine. However, the IDs, that's what matters most. So what we're going to be doing is, in main, we're basically going to have to say, hey, we have this and we have that, and we need their IDs. So in order, let's give the, technically speaking, we can just leave the IDs alone, but I don't like that. I'm just going to call this rando text. Hit enter. And if you see this, yeah, and if you see this, that's fine. The same goes here. I'm just going to say, this I'll just call RBT. Ooh, I can't even spell. RBTN. I'm going to hit enter and just do the same thing. So basically it's saying, okay, I'm going to search and basically, like in the code, you see how it says RBTN and then rando text up here. It basically says, okay, I'm going to look for everywhere that has this identity and basically change it. So, we're done here. In main activity, let me get rid of these. In main activity, we're going to need to find by ID. We're going to need to tell main activity that we have to use button and text views. Now, although IntelliSense will auto import the stuff we need, with the exception of random, not with the exception of random, excuse me. You will still need to. I'm not going to use IntelliSense. The main reason being is because, especially in the quiz, it's important to know what you have to import and when. So I'm actually going to type this out. You want to type in import Android.widget.button. Button. Because we need to use button. We also need to import Android.widget.TextView. Finally, in order to use random, we need Java utils. So we have to actually type in import java.util.asterisk. That allows us to use random. Now we get to the coding part. There are two types of things that you need to be made aware of. There's val and var. Val is static. Var or variable is val or value is static. Var or variable is ever flowing. What that means is if something's a value, if something has val, you cannot change it. It would be like final in Java or const in C++. With var, with the var keyword, that means you can change it. So we're going to be using var for both. I'm going to type in var, and I'll just call this BTN, because this will actually be the reference that we need for our button, which is our BTN. We need to set it equal to find view by ID. We open and close that, and we have to have a open and close parentheses. And I believe I spelled it right. Did I not? I think that has to be a capital F. Nope, that has to be lowercase f. Find view by ID. Yeah. I didn't spell it right. It was just auto-compiling. Anyway. So, what's find view by ID? Okay, so this keyword is saying, okay, we need you to find something by its identity, but it needs to know what kind of thing is it looking for. Is it looking for a text view, or is it looking for a button? In our case, for BTN, this is going to be a reference to our button that we created. I'm just going to type in button. And there's where IntelliSense kicks in, because you can hit enter and it'll auto import. As you can see, the text became highlighted instead of like grayed out. And in parentheses, we have to type in capital R dot lowercase ID dot, and we want to get our button. And in my case, I completely forgot what I named it because I'm stupid. Sorry, I just had a bad case of, it's RBTN. I'm just gonna copy and paste. Now, we're not done. We need var, and I'll call this rtext equals find view by ID, and this will be, and it's looking for a text view. And this one is r.id dot, what did I, random text. Now, we told it, we said, hey, these values, we want it set equal to this and this, the stuff that we put into our designer, which is that and that, and, excuse me, and that. Okay, so what do we do now? Now, we want to create a listener that, on clicked, will display a random number. So let's do exactly that. How do we do that? Okay, so we basically say btn dot on click listener set on click listener, yes, but we want to get rid of the parentheses. We want to have open and close curly braces. Will that work? Yes, it'll be fine. I'm going to hit enter. Give us some space. Now, what we need is, we need a new variable, and this will be equal to a random. So I'll just type in var for variable. I'll just call this rnum equals random in capital dot next random open close parentheses dot next int open close parentheses. Let's give this a little more room. Now we want to set the text equal to that random number. How do we do that? Okay, so we want to type in rtext. However, you need to have a dot text, and we want to set it equal to rnum dot to string. All right. So what did we do? We set our on-click listener. The listener that we need is on-click, so we need to set that. And then what we do is we make a new variable. We call it rnumber, and it's going to give us a random integer. Long story short, an integer is a whole number. Then what we do is we call rtext, and there's something called text, because we need to actually access that in order to convert our number to a string. So that said, if we run this, Looks like we have some random generator more than one time. Oh, right. Okay. Now I'm getting this because I experimented earlier, so that's what's going on with me. If I get rid of that, because it doesn't like it being called more than once, so be mindful of that. So if we run this again, okay, click here to generate a number. Whoa, Doug, why are the numbers so massive? In all honesty, that's what we're going to be tackling next in the next lesson. See, the thing is, we don't set parameters. When we actually have a slide bar, we'll actually be able to set parameters. Not just that, we'll be able to give it a more personal touch. So we're going to have an image, we'll actually play around with the color of the text, etc., etc., etc. But congratulations, you made your first random number generator, your first app, in essence. Huzzah! And yeah, next week we will basically modify this. We'll have some constraints. We'll have, if we have enough time, put in a sound, stuff like that, etc. That's about it. You all have a good weekend, and I will see you all next time.